What you need is a simple, cheap, but effective paddle trainer that you can use at home every day. Let me introduce you to the ugliest paddle trainer you've ever seen, but it is simple, cheap, and extremely effective. Let me show you how to make one. But first, let's talk about using a resistance band system as a paddle trainer and some of the drawbacks that made me decide that this type of trainer was useless. When you're paddling on a surfboard, your first reach into the water is where your stroke is the hardest and heaviest as you begin the acceleration, and then the resistance pattern evens out and then it becomes significantly harder again as you lift your hand out of the water for the return stroke. When you're using a resistance band, that resistance is opposite. It's easier at the beginning and becomes significantly harder as you pull through the stroke. And then as you lift your arm out of the water, you have to work eccentrically against the elastic pull of the band, which is completely opposite to the movement pattern when you're doing the return stroke. So the things you're going to need to build this paddle trainer. I have a 9mm poly rope. You can just buy this from your local hardware store. Here in Australia, this cost me $8 for 30 meters. It was the cheapest one I could get at 9mm. Now you do need a ball that you can cut. You can either use a tennis ball and cut it in half and then drill a hole through it to fit the rope in, or you can use a pickleball. You need a tape measure to measure out your length of rope, a lighter to cauterize the end of your rope so that it doesn't fray. Now this is the only piece of specialized equipment that you need, and this is a figure 8 for rappelling. Now you can buy this from your local camping store or you can buy it from Amazon. You don't need to get a high quality one. Just the cheapest one you can find will be fine because it's not going to be taking much weight. We're only using it for paddle training. We're not using it for rappelling. So any kind of cheap one would be just fine. Now this is the more advanced style of figure 8. It is going to be more expensive. It does afford you a few more options for increasing the resistance. Some type of blade or scissors to cut both your rope and your tennis ball, and just a couple of zip ties. Now these are optional. When you make a hole in your tennis ball and you feed the rope through, I prefer to just double it over and zip tie it so that it doesn't pull back through. Start by measuring your rope to approximately 2 to 2.5 meters or 7 to 8 feet. Taking the tag ends of your rope, just cauterize the end. This will help to stop it from fraying. Next, just cut your tennis ball in half. Take a drill with a 6.5mm bit or larger and drill through from the inside to the outside, being careful not to catch your hand on the way through. And just work that drill bit around a little bit to make the hole nice and wide. Turn the ball inside out and force the end of your rope through the hole. Double the rope and zip tie it together. Snip off the tag end. Turn the ball back the right way. Do the same thing on both ends. Now take your figure 8, feed it through the large end and wrap it around the small end, just like that. For a greater level of resistance, feed it through the small end and wrap it around the large end. That will increase the resistance. For the highest level of resistance, feed it through the small end. Now you need a small curtain ring. You can just get these from the hardware store. Slide it over the rope, then go around the large loop. And the ring in there will provide an extra level of resistance as you pull on it. Now for this more advanced style of figure 8, you feed it through the large end, wrap it around the small end. That's the simple version. In order to increase the resistance, you feed it through the large end and then push it through this hole in the center here and then wrap it around the small end. That's going to increase the friction. To further increase the resistance, feed it through the large end, push it through the center, wrap it around the small end, and then you take the long sections and you wrap them just once each around each of these arms. That's going to provide the highest level of resistance. Now I'll show you a couple of ways to attach this depending on what you have around the house. I've got some shelving in my garage that's really sturdy, so I just use a carabiner or a clip, hook it onto the shelf, and it's good. Now, if you don't have a post or a pole or the equipment you need to attach your paddle trainer to a pole, you can actually just use a pair of socks. Now, this is an old pair of snowboarding socks I have. Just take one sock, stuff it inside the other, and push it all the way to the toe, just like that. Take the open end, feed it through your figure 8, and just tie a simple knot. Now, you can take this end with the sock in it and close it in any door in your house, and that will secure the paddle trainer for you. Now position your bench or whatever you're going to lay down on so that the end of the bench is at the end of the range of your paddle trainer. And just get your reps in. Now this paddle trainer is not the only thing I do for training my paddling. I have a whole series of exercises that I go through to target the different areas of my paddling to strengthen or improve endurance. But I'll put a link here for the video that contains my entire at-home paddle workout program.